Hey class, welcome back. Today we are starting World War II, and this took place. It was the end of the Great Depression, and World War II began, and it's actually what kind of got us out of the Great Depression was World War II, because of everybody went back to work. It supplied more jobs, and they were talking about we're doing an overview of World War II, things we're going to talk about in this unit. It was fought. World War II was fought between the Axis powers of Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the Allied powers of Britain, the United States, Soviet Union, and France. And the United States tried to stay out of the war, just like they did in World War One. But Pearl Harbor happened, and we'll talk about that later on. And they were kind of pulled back into the war, just like they were in World War One. So most of the countries in the world were involved in some way. It's the deadliest war in all of human history, with around 70 million people killed.
World War II. World War II was fought between Axis powers Germany, Italy, Japan, and the Allied powers Britain, the United States, Soviet Union, and France. Most of the countries in the world were involved in some way. It was the deadliest war in all of human history, with around 70 million people killed.
So when was it? World War II started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. Great Britain and France responded. They declared war on Germany because, well, they were allies with Poland. And the war in Europe ended with Germany's surrender on May the 7th, 1945. The war in the Pacific ended when Japan surrendered on September 2nd, 1945, just a few months afterwards. So this is when it started. And like I said, when it started, it brought about the end of the Great Depression.
When was it? World War II started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. Great Britain and France responded by declaring war on Germany. The war in Europe ended with Germany's surrender on May the 7th, 1945. The war in the Pacific ended when Japan surrendered on September 2nd, 1945.
So World War II started in Europe, but it spread throughout the world. It began in Europe over here, and then it spread to all parts of the world that were involved in this. Much of the fighting took place in Europe and in Southeast Asia or the Pacific.
Where was it continued? World War II started in Europe, but spread throughout the world. Much of the fighting took place in Europe and in Southeast Asia or the Pacific.
All right, leading up to the war, there were several major events leading up to World War II. On January 30th, 1933, Adolf Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, and then his Nazi party took power. So in 1936, Germany and Italy, they formed the Rome-Berlin Axis Treaty, and Germany and Japan signed the Anti-Comintern Pact. And all these came together. They were becoming allies. All right, they were called the Axis powers during the war. Then on March the 12th, 1938, Hitler annexed the country of Austria into Germany. So all these things came into play, and it was leading up to World War II.
Leading up to the war, there were several major events leading up to World War II. On January 30th, 1933, Adolf Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, and his Nazi party took power. In 1936, Germany and Italy formed a Rome-Berlin Axis Treaty, and Germany and Japan signed the Anti-Comintern Pact. Then on March 12, 1938, Hitler annexed the country of Austria into Germany.
All right. The United States did not join the war when it first began. They were out of the war for the first 2 years. It started in 1939. It was 1941 before they joined. The event that led the U.S. to join the war was the attack on Pearl Harbor. All right, the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii by Japan was December the 7th, 1941. The U.S. officially joined the war on December the 8th, 1941, the day after joining the sides of the Allies. Their allies were France and Britain and Russia.
Attack on Pearl Harbor. The United States did not join the war for over 2 years after it had started. The event that led to the U.S. joining the war was the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii by Japan on December 7th, 1941. The U.S. officially joined the war on December 8th, 1941, joining the sides of the Allies.
All right. And these are just some things, some key points, the overviews of them. So the end of the war, World War II ended in 1945. Two main events signaled the end of the war. The first was Germany surrendering to the Allies in May of 1945. And a couple months later in September, Japan surrendered to the United States. So these were a couple of things that signaled the end of the war at the time. And we're going to go more into detail of all this stuff as we go along through this unit. We'll be talking about Adolf Hitler. We'll be talking about the Holocaust. We'll be talking about several different things that happened during this war.
The end of the war. World War II ended in 1945. Two main events signaled the end of the war. The first was Germany surrendering to the Allies on May 7th, 1945. A couple of months later, Japan surrendered to the United States and the Allies on September 2nd, 1945.
All right. Let's go with our comprehension question today. What powers fought in World War II? A, the Allied powers and the Axis powers. B, mind powers. Or C, the supernatural powers. It was A, the Allied powers of Great Britain, France, China, Soviet Union, and the United States, and the Axis powers of Germany, Italy, and Japan. The A is your answer.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
B, what year did World War II officially start? A, 2020, B, 1776, or C, 1939? It was 1939. Germany invaded Poland and took over Poland, and that's when it officially started.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
3, where did World War II start? A, in Antarctica, B, in Europe, or C, South America? It started in B, Europe, but then it spread throughout the world. Like I said, you see all these lines saying it spread to here and there, everywhere. B,
ding,
Europe.
Ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number 4, what event led to the United States entering the war? A, the invasion of France, B, the attack on Pearl Harbor, or C, the Vikings? It was B, the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The United States tried to remain neutral just like they did in World War I, but Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and it pulled us into the war. The very next day, we declared war on Japan.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
And the last one, what year did World War II end? A, 1999, B, 1945, or C, 1700? It was B, 1945 is when it ended. Both Germany and Japan surrendered that same year within months of each other.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
That's all for today. We'll be back next time talking about the causes of World War I more in detail. And I will see you all then. You all have a very good day.